You have just tuned in to the Mag Nerd Podcast, your home for everything in music, anime, and gaming.
What is up, guys? Shut Up the King here, back with another video, and today I am bringing you another vlog video. I'm out driving, taking care of business. It's Father's Day weekend, so I figured why not go ahead and talk to the people, talk about some video games. Before I do that, just want to let you guys know, Mag Nerd Podcast episode 17 is live as of this video recording. In this video, we talk about the E3 2019. We review a bunch of rap albums that came out the past week or two, namely Future, Denzel Curry, T Grizzly, and as well as Jim Jones' album. In anime, we break down the summer anime 2019 season that's coming up. We get to talk about some of the anime that we're going to be anticipating watching. And again, we just do a full breakdown of E3, what we like, what we didn't like, and just give our overall impressions, all right? So shameless plug out of the way. Let's get into the point of this video that I'm making right now. So one of the biggest disappointments from E3 in general for me was the fact that there was not a lot of gameplay being shown for games. And again, I understand we're at the end of a console cycle. Both PlayStation and Xbox will be launching their new systems next year. With Xbox doing their holiday 2020, we don't know exactly when PlayStation will be doing theirs, but it's going to probably be expected to be announced sometime next year. And with that, the console generation wrapping up, we got games. Avengers, the video game, has been in development some time with Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics, the people that used to make Tomb Raider. So that was a game that I was actually very much looking forward to, and I was just very, very disappointed that they basically just showed like a CGI trailer, and they kind of spliced in a little bit of gameplay. Like basically, if you totaled it up, it was probably about 12 seconds of gameplay. But what they did on the back end was they had like behind the door sessions where they showed gameplay to influencers. So the influencers, and they can just, have influencers come in, show them the game, wank them off a little bit, and then have them come out and talk to us and make us understand why this game is going to be great without actually showing it to us. That's what I think the whole reason for doing that was at first. So what ended up happening is that one of these people who had one of the backdoor meetings ended up recording it on his phone, apparently. He forgot that his phone was on there, was recording the whole time. So his mistake was our benefit. So it leaked. Now, obviously, I can't go ahead and show you guys the video because, again, this video would get deleted on YouTube. But if you're a savvy enough internet person, you can find it in about 5 seconds. Google it. So this footage leaks. It's about 13 minutes, and I watched it, and I have my impressions on it. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So before I start talking about the actual the video itself, I want to kind of talk about the real reason why the video itself did not come out, why Square Enix did not, show gameplay at E3. So apparently there was an article that came out, and in this article it essentially said that they were afraid of the reaction from gamers because of the culture that we're in, where the cancel culture, the outrage culture, and the fact that they try to use the footage from E3 against them later. Case in point was with Watch Dogs back in the day, where Watch Dogs with Ubisoft bought the game out, and the game looked amazing. But when the game physically came out, it didn't look anything like the game that they showed at E3. So that actually caused a huge amount of backlash. And again, that game ended up suffering because of it. And in turn, when the sequel came out, the sequel ended up suffering even more than the actual first game. So now, developers are afraid to show gameplay because, again, they just want that. They're afraid of the outrage culture. To a point, and again, I talk about this in the actual episode 17 of the podcast, but outrage culture in gaming is a thing. Like, I cannot deny it. You cannot deny it. Apex Legends is the biggest example of that. Like, people were up in arms and ready to devour Apex Legends, but because EA and the studio that developed Apex Legends decided not to tell anybody about the game until it was released, people actually got an opportunity to play the game before complaining. Because all they saw was Battle Royale, live service, and it was all the pitchforks were out, ready to be lit, and they were just ready to go in. But because they just dropped the game without giving it any sort of information or anything like that, people were like, oh, this game is actually pretty fun. This is like the greatest game ever. And it was averted. So that's kind of why they did it. I still don't agree with it. I feel like if you, as a company, don't misrepresent your product, if your product doesn't look like ABC, don't show it. Show it in the form that it's in. All you have to do is just say, this may not represent the final build, something, so that you can get people off your back and they can't use it against you later. Same thing happened with EA and Anthem. Me personally, I don't pay attention to stuff like that because I automatically assume that the game is never going to look as good as it did at the trailer or the footage that you see at E3. As long as the game, it looks somewhat like that, I don't need to look exactly like that to a T because it's just being ridiculous. So the game, the outrage culture is real, is the whole, what it amounts to. I still don't think it's an excuse for them to do what they did, but I get it. So I watched the 13-minute footage and here are my thoughts. It's not bad. It's not great. Like, I have concerns, but it's not bad. It really isn't. So here's what I like. So and before I tell you what I like, I want to explain what it is. So the demo that they showed it looks to me like it was a tutorial mode. It looks like this is the beginning prologue of the video game. They want to give you a small snippet of how each player plays and give you a context of how they're going to fight in the game. So the way that it works is that you're going through this battle in San Francisco on the Golden Gate Bridge. Things are happening, explosions, and you get an opportunity to play as each of the 4 or 5 Avengers at that time, and you get a feel of how each one of them plays. So the game starts off with Thor, and it moves from Thor to Iron Man, from Iron Man to Hulk, from Hulk to Captain America to Black Widow. That's how it moves. And you get about, I don't know, 5 minutes per with each person, give or take. And again, that's spliced in with cutscenes, of course. So, first person you start off with, sorry, you're getting mine. I'm always fighting the cold, so my nose is running. Sue me. So you start off and you start off as Thor, and that's actually my biggest issue. I do not like how Thor plays. I know a lot of people want to complain about how the Avengers look. I will say, out of all the Avengers, I think people need to understand that this is not an MCU. This is not a game based on the MCU. So you're not going to get Chris Hemsworth. You're not going to get Scarlett Johansson's face, because this is not a game based off the MCU. It's not. It's just a game based off of the Avengers brand. So people who are trying to sit here and complain, why doesn't it look like the Avengers movie? Why doesn't she look like Black Widow? This is a travesty. Shut the fuck up. Please, shut up. This is not based on the MCU. So stop trying to say, why doesn't Black Widow look like Scarlett Johansson? Because motherfucker is not her. What I will say is that Black Widow's chin is strong as fuck. Like, that chick got a fucking Hank Hill size chin. Like, she got a big ass chin, so they can kind of like slim her chin down and not make it look so manly. I greatly appreciate it. But again, they've already come out and said that the character designs are not going to change, so that fan outrage culture will not get that to change like it did for Sonic. So, Thor's gameplay was probably the weakest. It just kind of, I didn't see him fly. I didn't just kind of see him jump up in the air and kind of like do like your typical Thor bashing. The electricity, the gameplay looked okay, but again, it just didn't look polished. And again, I was probably an alpha build. It just didn't, well, I shouldn't say polished. It didn't look fun. fighting as Thor did not feel fun to me when I saw it. So then it went from Thor to Captain America. Captain America's gameplay looked nice. The only concern that I had was with Iron Man's gameplay is that it looked very linear. And again, it's clear that this game is not going to be open world at all. So folks who are thinking that this is going to be Avengers is going to be Spider-Man, but with the Avengers, no, it's not going to be that at all. Not at all. It looks more like a mixture of a beat 'em up, but with more exploration. Like, I think you'll be able to hover as Iron Man within the linear realm that he'll be fighting in, but you will not be able to fly like Iron Man unless there's like a flying mission where you're like on rails, kind of like Afterburner back in the day. I think it'll be kind of like condensed. Like, it won't be like Anthem at all. Like in Anthem, at least you can fly around a map and it was open world. You can like fly whenever you want to, land. I don't think the movement's going to work like that with Iron Man. I think you're going to be in a confined box with a linear path that you have the freedom to kind of jump and hover and maybe thrust forward. But you won't be able to go like high in the air or like unless it's on rails or something like that. I don't think you're going to be able to do that just from the footage that I saw. I could be wrong, but from what I saw, I don't think it's going to be like that. His repulsor blast attacks look great. Iron Man's combat looked pretty good. So other than that, I didn't have any issues. And just as a side note, Dreamcast guy, he's actually the reason how I found out about the leaked footage, so I'll give him credit for that. People who sit here and complain, he was complaining in his video that he didn't like the fact that Iron Man was shooting people and like Thor were just hitting humans and Thor wouldn't do that. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Like, I hate people who try to use like, it's a video game. It's a fucking video game. And guess what? Iron Man killed people in the Iron Man movie. Thor has killed hella people. He chopped Thanos' fucking head off. Shut up. Sorry. Now, rant over. So, Iron Man's gameplay, with the exception of the flying, looks solid. Like it. Then we go to Hulk, who in my opinion was probably the best done character in this game. Hulk, being one of my favorite characters of all time, is greatly represented in this. His movements, his lumbering, his ability to just jump, to just smash, is well represented in this tech demo or this tutorial. So he's smashing through, and again, you guys can go watch it for yourself. I'm not going to give you a blow by blow. I'm just going to give you my my thoughts on it. Then we go to Black Widow. Surprisingly, Black Widow played well too. I really enjoyed her gunplay. Like the way she shoots her guns, and again, with Crystal Dynamics, you can kind of tell they probably put a little bit of Lara Croft in her. The way she moved was very fluid. She was very acrobatic. She fights Taskmaster, and again, it looked like there was a bunch of quick time events that were going on in her gameplay. But there's also like when she's kind of fighting him after she gets off the jetpack, she's like using her guns and she's like shooting him and she's like punching him. The hit detection didn't look great, but again, this is an alpha build, so again, it can get better. But out of everybody, her gameplay was probably my second favorite. And actually, she was the last gameplay, but I forgot. They also showed Captain America fighting in the helicarrier. And Captain America, I will also admit, I do not like his outfit. It looks like he has this giant riot suit, and it looks too bulky. It looks like he needs it to be protected from bullets when Captain America is kind of already bulletproof, kind of. So it just looks like he's wearing way too much armor. But again, this is supposed to be a live service game anyway, so you can probably change the armor around to make it look like however you want. They might have classic costumes. So again, to me, first observation, I didn't love it, but again, that can probably change. That's not something that's going to prevent me from buying the game. What I will say is that his gameplay looks smooth. It looked good. Again, He can throw the shield will return. You can bounce it off of enemies. He can kind of like do the shield bash. It looks good. And again, if you guys need examples of how Captain America fights, just look no further than the MCU. The way the Cap fought in the MCU was perfect. That's like the cleanest Captain America combat that I've ever seen, even more so in the video games. So, all in all, like I said, I do think that they should have still shown the footage, because now you have this leaked footage floating around and it's giving people the wrong representation of your game. But if you could have at least released it, you could have at least played the game the way you wanted it to, not have it released and get leaked to it. So I anticipate their clean version of the actual reveal coming out within a week, because they're not going to just let that leaked footage stay out there and not release the full footage so that people can actually see it. So I anticipate them bringing that back. But again, I'm not going to be one of them guys that are just going to rage against this just for clicks and views. Again, it wasn't horrible. I definitely think they have enough time to fix some things and make it better. The only concern that I have is with this game being a live service and not an open world game. I'm just very nervous at how they're going to try to market this to us. I am not sure if I love a linear path. I'm okay with a linear story mode for the story mode, but for the multiplayer mode where you can play it with up to 4 people and each person's supposed to play differently, it'll be interesting to see how they do it. So that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel. This is Showing Up the King. Have a great Father's Day, guys.